Are you absolutely certain that spending time thinking deeply about your problems is actually helping you solve them? I mean, we have all been taught that reflection and analysis are good for us, right? That going over situations in our minds helps us understand them better and prepares us for the future. It feels productive. It feels necessary. It feels like the responsible thing to do. But what if I told you that this very habit, something you have probably been doing your entire life, might actually be sabotaging your emotional peace and mental well-being in ways you never imagined? What if this seemingly helpful mental practice is actually trapping you in cycles of anxiety, depression, and sleepless nights, especially as you navigate the challenges that come with aging? The habit I'm talking about is called rumination, and it is silently destroying the peace of millions of seniors every single day. Hello there, and I am genuinely thrilled you decided to join me today. What we are about to explore together is not meant to alarm you, but rather to empower you with knowledge that can truly transform how you experience your golden years. I have spent years observing patterns in emotional health, particularly in older adults, and I have noticed something fascinating yet concerning. The strategies we think are helping us cope with life changes, retirement adjustments, health concerns, loss of loved ones, are often the very things keeping us stuck in emotional turmoil. But here is the beautiful part. Once you understand what is happening, the solutions are surprisingly simple and can be woven seamlessly into your existing daily routine. Do you find yourself lying awake at 3 a.m, replaying conversations from earlier in the day? Perhaps analyzing what you should have said differently, or worrying about how others perceived you? Do you catch your mind wandering back to past mistakes or disappointments, turning them over and over like a stone in your pocket? Maybe you have noticed that certain thoughts seem to stick around longer than they used to, making you feel more anxious or sad than seems reasonable for the situation. Please share your experiences in the comments below. You are definitely not alone in this struggle. Today, I am going to share 4 scientifically backed techniques that can help you break free from destructive thought patterns and reclaim your inner peace. These are not complicated strategies that require you to completely overhaul your life. Instead, they are gentle, practical approaches that honor your wisdom and experience while giving you powerful tools to protect your emotional well-being. Let me start with the most surprising discovery of all. The first technique I want to share might sound almost too simple to work, but neuroscientists have discovered something remarkable about our ability to literally interrupt destructive thinking patterns in real time. Now, you might be thinking, but I have tried to stop negative thoughts before, and it just does not work. I understand that resistance completely, because most people try to suppress thoughts, which actually makes them stronger. What happens in your brain during rumination is fascinating. When you get caught in repetitive negative thinking, your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation, becomes less active, while your default mode network starts running wild. This creates what researchers call cognitive inflexibility, making it nearly impossible to shift your perspective. This pattern becomes particularly problematic as we age because life naturally presents us with more significant changes and losses. Retirement, health concerns, the death of friends or spouses. These major transitions can trigger rumination cycles that feel impossible to escape. Landmark study published in the Journal of Behavioral Research and Therapy found that rumination increases vulnerability to anxiety and depression by over 60% in adults over 65. The research followed over 2,000 participants for 5 years and discovered that those who learned thought interruption techniques showed dramatic improvements in sleep quality and overall life satisfaction. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 72-year-old retired teacher from Ohio. After her husband passed away, she found herself constantly replaying their last conversation, wondering if she had said the right things. She would lie awake for hours analyzing every word, feeling guilty and anxious. Margaret learned to recognize the moment her mind started the replay cycle and would literally say out loud, "Stop, I choose peace right now." She would then immediately engage in a predetermined activity, watering her plants or calling her sister. Within 3 weeks, Margaret reported that her sleep improved dramatically, and she felt more present during her daily activities. Here is exactly how to implement the thought interruption method. First, become aware of your personal rumination. Triggers. Common ones include being alone in the evening, hearing certain songs, or passing specific locations. Second, choose a physical interrupt signal. This could be snapping your fingers, standing up, or saying a specific phrase. Third, immediately redirect your attention to a predetermined engaging activity. The key is having your redirect activity chosen in advance, so you do not have to make decisions when your brain is already stuck in a loop. Important note: if you are currently taking medications for anxiety or depression, please discuss this technique with your healthcare provider to ensure it complements your existing treatment plan. Now, while thought interruption is powerful for breaking immediate cycles, the next technique addresses something even more fundamental about how rumination takes hold in the first place. The second technique harnesses something you possess in abundance, that younger generations are still developing, life wisdom, but applies it in a completely new way to combat destructive thinking patterns. You might wonder, if I have all this wisdom, why do I still get caught up in negative thinking? That is an excellent question, and the answer lies in understanding how our brains process familiar versus unfamiliar situations. When we ruminate, we are essentially treating every problem as if it is brand new and catastrophic. But your brain contains decades of evidence that you have successfully navigated challenges before. The Wisdom Reframe approach teaches you to actively access this stored experience during moments of mental distress. Neuroscientist Dr. Dilip Jesti from the University of California, San Diego, has conducted groundbreaking research on wisdom and aging. His studies show that older adults who actively apply their accumulated life experience to current stressors have 37% lower rates of anxiety and 42% better emotional regulation compared to those who approach each challenge as isolated events. The biological mechanism is remarkable. When you consciously connect current difficulties to past successes, your brain releases what researchers call cognitive confidence compounds, a combination of serotonin and dopamine that naturally calms the nervous system. This is why grandparents often give such good advice, but struggle to apply that same wisdom to their own current worries. Consider Frank, a 68-year-old former engineer who became overwhelmed with financial anxiety after retirement. His mind would spiral through worst-case scenarios about running out of money. Frank learned to pause during these episodes and ask himself, when have I faced financial uncertainty before, and how did I handle it? He remembered surviving the recession of the early 2000s, raising 3 children on a modest income, and even starting over professionally in his 40s. By actively connecting his current concerns to his past resilience, Frank found his anxiety decreased significantly, and he was able to make clearer financial decisions. Here is your step-by-step implementation. When you notice rumination beginning, immediately ask yourself, what similar challenge have I overcome before? Next, identify specific actions you took that led to positive outcomes. Then, acknowledge the personal strengths you demonstrated during those times. Finally, ask, how can I apply those same strengths to this current situation? The crucial element is specificity. Instead of vague thoughts, like, I have been through tough times before, recall exact details. What month was it? Who helped you? What was the first step you took? This specificity activates different neural pathways that connect past success to present capability. Research from the Stanford Center on Longevity shows that seniors who practice this technique for just 2 weeks report feeling more capable and optimistic about handling current challenges. They also show improved problem-solving abilities and decreased rumination episodes. A. Important consideration. Some past experiences may have been traumatic or particularly painful. If recalling certain memories causes distress rather than confidence, please work with a qualified therapist to process those experiences before using them. In this technique, while the wisdom reframe helps you think differently about problems, our third technique addresses the physical component of rumination that most people completely overlook. The third technique might surprise you because it focuses not on your thoughts, but on your body, specifically how rumination creates physical tension that actually feeds back to your brain and makes the mental cycling worse. You might think, but my problem is mental, not physical. Why would body work help with overthinking? This is a common misconception, but cutting-edge research reveals that rumination is not just a mental process, it is a full-body experience. That creates a feedback loop between your mind and your physical state. When you ruminate, your body automatically activates what is called partial stress response. Your shoulders tense, your breathing becomes shallow, your jaw clenches, and your posture changes. These physical changes send signals back to your brain that danger is present, which then intensifies the mental rumination. It becomes a self-perpetuating cycle that many seniors find exhausting. Dr. Amy Cuddy from Harvard Business School has extensively studied how body posture influences emotional states. Her research with older adults shows that specific physical positions can reduce cortisol levels, the stress hormone, by up to 23% within just 2 minutes. More importantly, these physical changes directly interrupt the neural pathways associated with repetitive negative thinking. The biological explanation is fascinating. Your vagus nerve, which connects your brain to your major organs, interprets physical tension as a threat signal. When you deliberately relax specific muscle groups, you are essentially sending a safety signal to your brain, which allows your prefrontal cortex to regain control over your thought processes. This becomes particularly important for seniors because aging naturally changes our posture and muscle tension patterns. Arthritis, reduced mobility, and changes in bone density can create chronic low-level physical stress that makes rumination more likely to occur and more difficult to interrupt. Let me share Rose's story. Rose, a 75-year-old former nurse, found herself constantly worrying about her adult children's problems. She would sit in her favorite chair for hours, thinking in circles about their financial struggles and relationship issues. Rose learned that her hunched sitting position was actually making her mental worry worse. She began implementing the body reset protocol whenever she caught herself ruminating. Within 10 days, Rose noticed that not only did her physical comfort improve, but her ability to think clearly about her children's situations also enhanced dramatically. Here is the exact body reset protocol. First, immediately change your physical position when you notice rumination starting. If you are sitting, stand up. If you are lying down, sit up. Second, perform the tension release sequence. Systematically tense, and then relax your shoulders, jaw, hands, and feet, holding each tension for 5 seconds before releasing. Third, implement grounding breathing. 4 counts in through your nose, hold for 4 counts, out through your mouth for 6 counts, repeated 5 times. Fourth, adopt what researchers call the confidence posture. Shoulders back, chest open, chin parallel to the floor, and hold this position for 2 full minutes. The timing is crucial. Research shows that if you implement this protocol within the first 90 seconds of noticing rumination, you can prevent the full stress response from developing. After 90 seconds, the body needs longer to reset, so early intervention is key. Clinical studies at Johns Hopkins University found that seniors who practiced this protocol showed 45% reduction in rumination episodes and reported feeling more physically comfortable throughout the day. They also experienced improved sleep quality and increased energy levels, while the body reset protocol handles the physical aspect of rumination. Our final technique addresses the social dimension that becomes increasingly important as we age. The fourth and perhaps most powerful technique recognizes that rumination often intensifies when we feel disconnected from others, which unfortunately becomes more common as we age due to retirement, mobility changes, and loss of loved ones. You might wonder, how does loneliness make my thinking worse? It turns out that isolation does not just make us sad. It actually changes how our brains process information, making us more likely to interpret neutral situations negatively and get stuck in worry cycles. Research from the University of Chicago reveals that loneliness activates what scientists call hypervigilance mode in the brain. When you feel socially disconnected, your mind starts scanning for threats and problems, which creates the perfect conditions for rumination to flourish. It is an ancient survival mechanism that is completely inappropriate for modern aging challenges. Dr. John Cacioppo, a pioneer in loneliness research, found that socially isolated seniors show increased activity in brain regions associated with threat detection and decreased activity in areas responsible for rational thinking. This neurological shift makes it nearly impossible to break out of negative thought patterns using willpower alone. What makes this particularly relevant for seniors is that social connections often change dramatically after retirement. The daily interactions with coworkers disappear. Old friends may develop health issues or move away. Family members may live far away or be busy with their own lives. These changes can create a perfect storm for rumination to take hold. Consider Harold, a 70-year-old retired accountant who found himself constantly worrying about his health. After a routine doctor visit showed slightly elevated blood pressure. Harold would spend hours researching worst-case scenarios online and imagining catastrophic outcomes. His daughter suggested he join a local senior center walking group. Initially resistant, Harold discovered that having regular social contact with people who understood aging challenges completely changed his mental patterns. Instead of ruminating alone, he found himself discussing concerns in a balanced way with peers who offered perspective and reassurance. The connection circuit breaker works by deliberately interrupting rumination through meaningful social contact. Here is the specific implementation. First, identify 3 people you can contact within 24 hours when rumination begins. This could be family, friends, neighbors, or community members. Second, prepare conversation starters that shift focus away from your worries and toward the other person's experiences or interests. Third, establish regular connection appointments, weekly phone calls, coffee meetings, or shared activities that prevent isolation from building up. Fourth, join at least one group activity where you can contribute your skills or experience to help others. The key insight is timing. Research shows that reaching out to others within the first hour of rumination starting prevents the negative thought cycle from becoming entrenched. After 1 hour, the mental pattern becomes more difficult to interrupt through social connection alone. A study published in the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry followed 300 seniors for 2 years and found that those who implemented regular social circuit breakers showed 68% fewer rumination episodes and scored significantly higher on measures of life satisfaction and emotional well-being. Important consideration. If you feel uncomfortable reaching out to others or worry about being a burden, remember that most people actually appreciate being contacted and feel good about providing support. Many seniors report that being needed by others enhances their own sense of purpose and well-being. These 4 techniques work synergistically. Thought interruption stops immediate cycles. Wisdom reframing changes your relationship to problems. Body reset handles the physical component. And connection circuit breaking prevents isolation-driven rumination. As we wrap up our time together today, I want you to realize something profound. You now possess 4 scientifically validated tools that can genuinely transform your emotional experience during these precious years of your life. The thought interruption method gives you immediate power over runaway mental cycles. The wisdom reframe approach honors and utilizes the decades of experience you have accumulated. The body reset protocol acknowledges that your physical and mental well-being are intimately connected. And the connection circuit breaker ensures that you never have to face difficult emotions in isolation. Remember, implementing these techniques is not about achieving perfection or never having another worried thought. It is about building your capacity to navigate life's challenges with greater peace and confidence. You have already survived so much, learned so much, and contributed so much. You deserve to experience the emotional freedom that comes with these tools. Start with just one technique that resonates most strongly with you. Practice it for 1 week, noticing how it feels and what changes occur. Then gradually add the others as they become natural parts of your routine. If you found this helpful, please give this video a like. It helps other seniors discover these life-changing techniques. Subscribe to our channel for more evidence-based strategies for thriving in your golden years. And definitely share your experiences in the comments below. Your insights could be exactly what another viewer needs to hear today. Take care of yourself. And remember, your peace of mind is worth protecting, and you absolutely have the power to do so.